Hey there, Squirrel Army. It's time for another of the Face Commanders from the Karloff Mana Commander decks. This is from the Deep Clue Sea Commander deck, Marcosa, Undersea Sleuth.
You can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing.
Alright, so Bant for 2-3. We have no max hand size. At the beginning of our upkeep, we investigate. Okay, so the first turn this thing comes out, it does literal nothing. Cool story. So it's got to survive till our upkeep to do anything. Cool. So we want to run a whole bunch of protection for this thing. We're in blue, we're in white. I guess we can kind of do that. When we draw our second card each turn, we put 2 counters on her. Okay, cool. Right. I don't think that that's very relevant at all, but whatever. Maybe we can figure something out. So this thing has 0 evasion. So if you're planning on a Voltron build of this, you need to give this thing evasion. Somehow, someway, there are a few things that are in these colors that give things with +1 counters some evasion, like trample and flying. I don't think that there's anything in blue that does anything like that. I'm not too sure. There's obviously some things that can give this thing some other evasion. If you're going down the Voltron route, of course you can play the swords and whatnot. I wouldn't play it like a Voltron build at all. And again, with these commanders, I don't know what they're kind of doing. They seem to have just gone, let's make the most meh commander ever. I don't know. It doesn't not do anything, but it's just like, it doesn't do nearly enough, or doesn't do enough with what it's already kind of doing, it doesn't really feed any kind of really good strategy that you could have with this. If it said, if another source you control would create a clue, or you would, I don't know. There's or if it said the activation cost of abilities costs 1 less, or whatever. Even that would be good, because then you can crack clues to draw a card for 1 mana, or whatever. That would be way better. No maximum hand size. You're only going to be able to, as I said, crack those clues for 2. You're not cracking them at an amazing rate. And again, there's not a huge amount of, clue support, so they're going to have to print a whole lot of clue support cards, and even some, a couple of the clue cards that do exist aren't that amazing. There's that one that says whenever you make a clue, you make an additional clue. That one's probably one of the better ones. Things like Parallel Lives, Anointed Procession, that kind of stuff. Roaming Throne, obviously, that kind of thing works really well here, because you're getting more clues out of it to kind of do more stuff. But really the problem with this isn't getting all of those clues, I don't think, even though it's pretty slow at making you clues. It's the mana gate of the clues, plus the mana gate of having to cast anything else that you happen to draw. So that's why clues are always such a problem, is well, I just spent 2 mana, and yes, sure, I can spend that 2 mana on my opponent's turn, but then I've got to spend my first turn after I've got this thing basically doing nothing. And yeah, you can kind of play that game of, well, do I have a protection spell in my hand, or do I have a counter spell in my hand, and whatever else. Again, you can kind of go down this tempo Voltron kind of build, or control Voltron kind of build. It is in the colors that do have the most clue support thus far, but still the clue support that's in these colors is pretty bad, honestly. There's not a huge amount of it out there. They have printed a few things here and there throughout the years, but they really needed to print a whole lot more for it, but they just never really did. So again, like maybe this will change with the deck when it's released, and they actually have printed like almost like 90 other cards or something, whatever it is, for these commanders to actually like do something or anything. But this far they haven't got those, so I can only base these opinions on what is now, not what is potential. Because I don't know those cards, and only WotC does, or only the people that are spoiling those cards might do, and they're, on an NDA to not spoil them until such time as, Wizards wants them to spoil those cards. So it is what it is, unless somebody happens to leak them online again, whatever. Like, we won't know. And then again, like, even if you do see the spoilers, you don't know how legitimate they are or whatever. But anyway, still, this is a very mediocre commander. It needs a lot of work and, like, a lot of cards for it to actually do anything. And again, are you going to go down a Voltron build? Like, how else are you going to win with this deck? I don't know. Like, again, that's what I mean by saying until you know more about it, it's just like, well, that's there, and I guess I better find a way to give it evasion so that I can actually punch people and actually, like, try to win this game somehow. And that sort of thing. So, I don't know. That strategy honestly doesn't thrill me. I think you could probably just do better. But then again, with a clue deck, like, either you're like looking for Thassa's Oracle type win cons, or whatever it is, Jace like win cons, like you have no library, therefore you win, or perhaps Omniscience style things where you just like, well, I have no maximum hand size and I can cast anything from my hand for free, so that's really good. Rather than having to worry about drawing cards and not being able to pay for my spells, well, now I don't have to. I can just play everything for free. But yeah, like, with all of these, like, it's not bad to have a commander that you build around, but it's bad when the commander just, like, again, like 2024 Magic, this is way underpowered. Like, it just doesn't have nearly enough to really do anything. Like, and requires so many different things. It requires you to have clue generators, or multipliers, and that sort of thing, like Power of Lives and Order Procession, that sort of thing. It requires you to have a lot of mana. Yes, sure, you're in green, so you probably be alright there with that, but still, it requires you to have a lot of mana for clues specifically, and not for your other spells and things like that. So again, you probably want even more mana dorks or more ramp in a deck like this, so that you can play for your clues and play for casting your spells, etc., and that sort of thing as well. And then it's got this weird Voltron-ish sort of design where it puts counters on itself, or it grows itself. So then you want to have things to give this thing evasion so that it can actually punch through and actually hit people and actually give you some way to win. Or you want to put in other cards that give you some other way to win. Like, what's it called? My brain is not working on it, obviously. But the thing, whenever you draw a card, it pings everyone for a damage, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. I can't remember its name right now. Sorry. But yeah, like that sort of thing. Those are the only few win cons that you kind of really have access to, because you're just here to draw cards and gain value. And sure, I know some people really like that, but like, you've got to have ways to win the game. You can't just sit there and say, well, I'm going to draw cards and we'll see. Like, everything can't just draw you cards or whatever. Like, that's not really progressing what you're doing. You've got to have the ability to end the game, not just sit there and hope that your opponents die or concede or whatever to your bullshit. Like, it's a really good blocker, I guess, so there's that. Like, I don't know, dude. But but you've got to draw 2 cards. Like, there's this weird synergy as well with, like, drawing 2 cards. So maybe you want to do the whole if you draw 2 cards type thing or whatever it is on every turn, so that you can be like, okay, I draw 2 cards during your turn, therefore I get this and this and that and this and that and this and that and whatever else. So it feels like you're getting pulled in lots of different directions. But then again, like, you want probably just like the best of those, not like just, I'm going to toss this in because it's there and it kind of works with kind of what I'm doing. Sure, but you want more than that, I think. But anyway. Yeah, I don't know. You guys again have to let me know what you guys think. Am I so super wrong? You can write your thoughts down there in the comments below. Hope you've enjoyed one way or the other, and hope to have you join me again in another one.